Hi, what's up, everybody? My name's Jose Chamu, better known by my stage name Chips, and I'm a rapper from Long Beach, California. And today we're gonna be reacting to, I think is the sixth Iron Maiden album, which is Somewhere in Time. I don't really have any expectations going into this album because the comments didn't really tell me a lot about what to expect from this one. They just told me I just noticed that a lot of the comments were saying that all the next three album run, which is Powerslave, Somewhere in Time, and Seven Sun, all as their favorite three album run. Oh, this album's underrated, is one of my favorite albums, and this, that, and the third. So a lot of people were hyping this album up. So I'm excited to see what it's about because this one of the we're finally entering the albums where it's like I have no idea what I'm gonna go into, and the covers weren't too enticing for me because really, like as I said before, the only two albums that I was like really really looking out for were The Number of the Beast and Power Slave, mainly because of the covers and like the album title names. But so this is gonna be interesting to see, like, something new that's kind of like unexpected for me. With that being said, let me just say thank you to everyone who's been subscribing, liking, and commenting, man. Y'all are the real MVP, man. I was trying to break through the 50 sub mark and we smashed through it that same day. We got like 56 on that day alone. Shit. So, man, we're doing fantastic. The Beast over Hammersmith reaction is gonna be coming soon. I might film it right after this reaction, depending if my laptop doesn't implode on me. I don't know. But yeah, for the Beast over Hammersmith, look out for it. I don't know when exactly it's gonna be dropping. I'm not gonna like give a date because my schedule sometimes be fucking up, especially with college and shit. So, but yeah, so thank you guys. Yeah, man, y'all showing hella support. Shouts out to y'all. Um, Quick update on Powerslave. that album is that album is crazy. It's my favorite Maiden album so far. From the five that I listened to, is my favorite album. That shit is magnificent in every sense of the word. That shit, man. The first two tracks are like adrenaline pump filled. Then the next, then the two sword songs are like, you know, entertaining and swashbuckling. And then you got back in the village, and the title track, and Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, which is a 13-minute epic, like in all sense of the word. That album is crazy. And man, Power Slave, man. I don't know how they could top Power Slave because that shit is monumental. I don't even know what words to describe it. That album is just fantastic. It was, and it just gets better with every listen. Like I just everything about Power Slave. And then now that I have like a better ear for this like type of music, like I could pick out more of the nuances within the music, specifically the drums and the bass. Like I believe his name is Steve Harris. Like he was going in on that album, and I of the 8 tracks from my favorite vocal performance like that Bruce gave, I want to say my favorite vocal performance was, it definitely has to be either between Power Slave, the title track, or Back in the Village. Cause I like the way he says "I'm back in the village," like just the way he like puts vibrato is tight. But Power Slave, I feel like that's his best performance in the album because he sounds so like mystical and like a witch. Like tell me why in the eye of Horus. Like I'm like, damn, like that's the thing about Bruce. I feel like maybe that's why they replaced Paul Diano, because like I haven't heard much of Paul Diano beyond the two albums, but like it seems like he wouldn't be able to do the crazy range that Bruce has, because Bruce could sound like that kind of like witch mummy thing and like Power Slave. Then he could sound like kind of like a warrior yelling at the top of his lungs like on Invaders, and like he could do that more punk voice. So like So far from what I feel like, Bruce just he could hit different notes that Paul Diano couldn't. But Paul Diano, I feel like Paul Diano special was more like that softer tone, cause I feel like the softer songs like Strange World and Remember Tomorrow and Purgatory, and the Lamia song, what's it called, Prodigal Son. I feel like Paul is better for those type of songs because he has like a he he's more, I feel like he's more passionate when it comes to like the slower mood and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to like that singing about like killing and like all this type of this, that, and the third and yelling, he just doesn't have the like the same intensity and ferocity that Bruce does. But with that being said, again, Powerslave, that shit is, whew, that shit is crazy. Like, I don't have a lot of time to talk about it because I have to get to the reaction. But man, Powerslave is my favorite Maiden album, and I have a hard time seeing if it's gonna be topped anytime soon by the end of the journey. But like, yeah, so far it's Powerslave, and it's not even close. Cause Powerslave, there really are no skippable tracks like that. I guess like sometimes I would like skip the two like sword songs, but even then they're definitely not bad, especially um the duelist and stuff like that. Like they're okay, they're cool. They're definitely not like those two middling songs are not as bad as, and bad meaning like not as good because they have no bad songs, but they're not as bad as like my least favorite tracks on the other albums. Especially I feel like Number of the Beast had a lot of the more weaker tracks like Gangland and Run to the Hills and I guess The Prisoner in some way. But yeah, so I don't know, like I feel even these kind of okay tracks on Power Slave would be the highlights on other albums. And really that's the whole thing about Power Slave, that's like my main I like thought about it, is that it just sounds like a greatest hits album. I don't know what their hits are considering I'm like barely listening to their music, but I would like I would just say, oh, Power Slave is the greatest hits, if that makes any sense. But yeah, with that being said, enough talking about Power Slave, enough all this intro shit. I just want to say one last big thank you to y'all, because again, y'all been showing up and showing out, and I appreciate it. We're only going to be going up from here. With that being said, let's head right into the reaction. Alright, we're about to kick off the album. Just real quick, let me just go through the track listing. So it's 8 tracks. Looks futuristic. Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years, Sea of Madness, Heaven Can Wait, the Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, Stranger in a Strange Land, Deja-Vu, and Alexander the Great. And they give the specific dates. Um, you guys could correct me, but I feel like so far, in terms of like song names or song titles, this has the longest title names, right? The Loneliness of the Long Distance is long as shit. Stranger in a Strange Land, like just the names. Because what's the longest title we've had so far? Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, no? Oh well, Number of the Beast is pretty. Hallowed be Thy Name. Oh, so I guess that one is pretty long too. The song titles. Which one sounds interesting? Let's see. Of the 8 tracks, well, Caught Somewhere in Time is gonna be interesting because we basically have the title track as the opener, which is always interesting when you have something like that. When the title track is the opener or the closer, it's always interesting to see. Okay, so do you put it at the beginning to kind of like prepare us for what's to come and maybe give us set some ideas in our head, or do you put it at the end so you could summarize what happened and maybe explain what people didn't understand so that on subsequent listens they could look out for it, which is kind of what they did for Power Slave, because Power Slave was track 7. And so the whole time, like, yeah, I probably could have deduced what Power Slave meant just off the words power and slave, but you know they didn't explain it until kind of near the end, so then on subsequent listens I had to like look out for it. Whereas here it seems like they want me to know whatever this is about, they want me to know on track 1 just off the title name. But of the 8 tracks, I'm gonna pick 2 that sound that I feel like I'm gonna like, or that just excite me. I'm gonna say Stranger in a Strange Land excites me because it reminds me of Strange World, obviously because it says strange. And maybe Alexander the Great because it's the final track, and also because it's like obviously I'm pretty sure it's gonna be based like on history, and they're pretty good when they get into their history back. I don't know if I prefer them when they do their history stuff, their literature stuff, or their movie stuff. I feel like I prefer their history stuff because that includes historical battles and events, right? So, and y'all know I've been constantly saying that like some of my favorite tracks are the war ones, like like the Trooper and stuff like that. So, and Aces High is so good. Aces High, rolling. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking out for Stranger in a Strange Land and Alexander the Great. If we're just looking at Eddie, right? I mean, I can't. I'm trying to zoom in. Eddie looks like a stranger in a strange land because it's way different than what we've ever seen him. It looks like super like electronic or futuristic. It almost reminds me of Blade Runner. It kind of gives me Blade Runner feels like almost like a dystopian future and somewhere in time. So, cause he just went from like ancient Egypt type shit to now we're in wherever this place is at. Is this gonna be an adventure about Eddie? Is this what this album's gonna be about? Okay, let's just head in. Track 1, Caught Somewhere in Time. 7 minutes. I like the drums in this track. They're just like smacking. It's always on my side. The way the Go echoed felt cool. It felt weird. It sounds a lot more operatic, Bruce. I like the little step of it. I like that. Oh, I'm feeling it now. The way he says is over. It's always on my side. I love it. like the chorus. At first I was like, I like the chorus. It's so like operatic, like oh. Interesting. All right, that was the title track, track one, Caught Somewhere in Time. Lyrically, it's interesting. Like, I wonder what they're trying to set me up for, cause it's. I mean, he says it explicitly. Can I tempt you? Come with me. Be devil may care. Fulfill your dream. So the devil thing, like, it makes me think like almost like this is not a sequel, but this almost feels like it's a sequel to Killers, where it's like at the end of the chorus, at the end of the song where he changes the chorus, the final line is caught in two minds. Now I'm caught in two minds, right? Caught now in two minds. So in Killers, I've you know said time and time again that I feel Killers is about the Wrathchild and the prodigal son being the same character, with it's a split personality. So I feel like this is like around the same thing, and if it's not a split personality, then it's probably someone trying to lure this character, right? Like maybe they're trying to entice them by saying time is always on their side. The way he says time is always on my side, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like that. Like, it made me laugh. Like, time is always on my side. Like, I don't know, the way he was saying it, I don't know, it was kind of like taking me out of the song. It's kind of funny the way. I don't know. I found it funny, the delivery. I like the delivery and the cadence for the chorus. It was epic. It had that grandiose feel, that operatic shit, which I said the theatrical. I said that multiple times throughout this reaction, but it just has like Bruce was just singing like not in his like usual typical like raspiness. Like, if you had the time to lose, an open mind and time to choose, would you care to look, or can you read me like a book? Can I tempt you? Come with me. If I said I'd take you there, would you go? Would you be scared? Don't be afraid. You're safe with me. Safe as any soul could be. Okay, but he's lying to him, right? Because he says it. Safe as any soul can be. Yet he says, make you an offer you can't refuse. You only got your soul to lose. Eternally. Let yourself go. The way he says in the middle of singing is crazy. Like, I guess technically those could just be notes, right? Like, you could go or obviously you could fix it to the note length and all that type of stuff, but still I thought it was impressive. Let's read the about. Oh, it's a movie title? Somewhere in Time is a movie title. However, Iron Maiden's inspiration was not a sappy love story with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour. I didn't even know about that movie. Instead, the inspiration was for more in keeping with Iron Maiden's themes to that point. Time After Time is a movie about Jack the Ripper stealing H.G. Wells' time machine and Wells' pursuit of the villain. Well, we're pursuing a villain? That don't sound like that to me. Oh, it is. Oh, because these are direct quotes? Is it? This is about H.G. Wells when he first finds Jack the Ripper. The intro is an indication of his search, slow and hopeful, to finding the song speeding up. Wait, what? Where did we get Jack the Ripper vibes? Hold up. Where did Jack the Ripper come from? Hold up. What? If you had a time machine, you could always manipulate time. This is what, I don't know. Lyrically, I might have to listen to this one a couple times. Okay, so I thought this song was just cool. I didn't really find it too impressive or what I did. The refrain is sticking out to me though, because it's like, hear how he says it. I don't know. It made me laugh. Like, oh, we know my son. Like, I don't know. I wasn't feeling the refrain, but I like the chorus. But the instrumental break, it was cool. I like certain aspects of it. I felt like this song on the whole was just cool. It was definitely not bad. Again, they've yet to make a bad song that I've heard. So it wasn't bad, but at the same time, it wasn't like stand out. It was just okay. It's definitely no Aces High, I'll tell you that. Like, in terms of like intro, I'm not saying like, oh, it's the same type of song. I want it to sound like Aces High. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like, as an intro, it's not my favorite. I might have to listen to this one more. I feel like with subsequent listens, I'll pick out more stuff about it. But I did like the drums on this one. The drums were nice, especially like in the first half of the song. I was able to hear them more. Maybe that's just because like my mind trailed off and like started focusing on like the time is always on my side. But yeah, I found the drums quite pleasant in this one. All right, this was cool. Let's go to the next track. All right, we just listened to Caught Somewhere in Time, and now we're headed to track 2. What is it called? Wasted Years. So yeah, let's get into it. I like this already. I'm feeling this already. Stranger in a Strange Land. So far, Bruce has a much more like operatic delivery in this album. That's a good chorus. I like the chorus, like the lyrics. This is my favorite part. This sound. I don't know what this is. Dun, 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 dun. God, this is what I'm talking about. weird sound. I don't know what this is. Dun, 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 dun. I like how they're introducing more variation to the way they're ending songs as opposed to like Number of the Beast is very, very like cookie cutter. Cause I'm pretty sure if this song was on Number of the Beast, it would have ended with "and realize you're living in the golden years." Boom, 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 boom. Psst. Whereas this one we had like a cool like echo thing in the background. I don't even know what instrument it was. It just sounded cool. My favorite element was like the fucking the I don't know if like what kind of guitar like I don't know the instrument names but like just that sound that like wow 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 dum 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 man that like really carried the song for me by a lot. My favorite parts were that the solo, which I guess is like an extension of that sound I'm talking about, and the chorus lyrics like so we have a lot of again like I said cohesiveness. That's like a key word for Iron Maiden, cohesiveness. We got a lot of cohesiveness. Um, when now we have a like a large, the we have a lot of cohesiveness in that they're seeking a lot of live your life type themes. You know what I mean? Like this sounds like an extension of Die With Your Boots On, right? So it's like Die With Your Boots On is more like, well, you're gonna die either way, so get to it. Whereas this one, it's more like don't waste your time, cause like kind of like face up, make your stand. That's kind of like an alternative version of Die With Your Boots On, if that makes any sense, right? Like, cause if you have your boots on, you're probably gonna be standing, and realize you're living in the golden years. So it's like, you know, just live your life. Forget what the Debbie Downers, the negative Nancy's had to say. You have to live your life because you only have one of them. You know, and don't waste your time looking for waste. Basically, don't make the most of what you have. So I really, really like the message of the chorus and really the whole song. And so now we're getting a lot of talk about time, right? So we somewhere in time, caught somewhere in time, right? So maybe the place they were caught was like a dream sequence, like Satan trying to talk to them, or maybe it really was about fucking Jack the Ripper and H.G. Wells. But then this one, I like the first verse kind of like caught me, cause what was I talking about? Like killers, the split personality, and how like caught somewhere in time could kind of be like a like a return to those type of themes, because right here it says, I'm a stranger to myself and all the things I sometimes do, it isn't me but someone else. That's exactly what I was talking about. See, that's exactly what I was talking about like the split personality situation, where it's like, okay, like where like in Murders in the Rue Morgue is like, oh, my doctor say I've done it before, stuff like that. And then the first song, how it's like, oh, they're talking to him, and like I hear voice, and like also back to Killers, where it's like I hear voices in my head, and me I wanna know, I got to get away. So we're getting a lot of like a lot of themes of like kind of like split personality. Maybe it truly is just like the devil and the angel on your shoulders, giving you counsel. Let's see, from the coast of gold across the seven seas and traveling far wide, but now it seems I'm just a stranger in a strange land. Perhaps we're gonna get more into the coast of gold and the seven seas and these swashbuckling adventures in that song. I close my eyes and think of home. Another city goes by in the night. Ain't funny how it is. You never miss it till it's gone away. And my heart is lying there and will be there till my die day. Okay, so the character so far is a stranger in my head with a split. Oh, I know it has. I know. I'm pretty sure they didn't intend for that. But if we're going with what I was saying about like that, this c- kind of feels like a sequel to Killers, like the narrative set in Killers. Remember what happens in Killers? He runs away to like is it Italy, and he's like I'm never going home. You know, and he's a innocent exile. He's lonely, right? This is the exile if you think about it, right? He's been traveling the seas because he's exiled. He can't go back home, but he always thinks about home. And you know, in that album, he thinks about, you know, he wants to go home, but he can't. And you know, you never miss it till it's gone away, and my heart is lying there and will be there till my dying day. So you know, like I was saying, it does feel like, you know, listen to that album and then the lyrics and then pay attention to these. It feels like it could be like a sequel. And then maybe now he's giving us like that character from Killers in this album that I'm talking about. Maybe he's giving us like advice, telling us like, yo, kind of like in Drifter where it's like, hey child, like, you know, he's warning us, telling us, don't be like me, don't waste your time, you know, make a stand. You're living in the golden years. Too much time on my hands, I got you on my mind. You, who is you? Can't ease this pain so easily. When you can't find the words to say, it's hard to make it through another day, and it makes me want to cry and I throw my hands up to the sky. So again, and I know I'm like, when I'm reading the lyrics, it's more like confirmation bias, because obviously, but like, if you could interpret this verse as like, you know, I got you on my mind. He's talking about the split personality, right, from Killers. And when he says it makes me want to cry, throw my hands up to the sky, that's probably like when he realizes he has to pray to Lamia for like deliverance in Prodigal Son. You know what I mean? Obviously there's like no correlation. I'm pretty sure they didn't intend this to be a fucking sequel to Killers, which Killers, even then, Killers probably wasn't even supposed to be the narrative that I'm establishing. But you know, but it's just whatever's coming up to my mind right now. Okay, so now it got more interesting when now that I read the verses, because I didn't pay too close attention to the verses, but because only the chorus really stood out to me at first. But okay, so this song, all right, I'm feeling this one more and more. The more I'm reading it, the more I'm getting into it. I'm feeling it. The more I'm going into my own head and the theories. You know, I make myself like the songs more because then I start theorizing and connecting the themes and the messages and like little words, right? Like I'm pretty sure they just said stranger just to say stranger, but obviously that's a name of that's a prominent word in one of the song titles. So, or maybe they did intend it to be this deep. This track, one of two singles released for Somewhere in Time. The lyrics tell the listener to stop worrying, make the most of now. From a certain point of view, the track's meaning could be summarized with the Latin words carpe diem, mean seize the day. Which, yeah, technically. Although it's the first single, it's the only song on the record to not feature synthesizers. So the first track had synths? What are synths? Like, I know of the word, like synthesizers, but like, how are they supposed to sound? Well, I guess I'll know, right? Like, if I hear the album. Alright, this was cool. Let's head to the next. Alright, we just listened to Wasted Years, and now we're heading into track 3, Sea of Madness, which is kind of funny that we meant that the next song is called Sea of Madness when we just had like a little narrative about like the banishment or the character in Wasted Years just, you know, missing home, just being on the ocean, you know what I mean? So it's interesting that Sea of Madness is right after we just got the little story about the guy, you know, traveling the seven seas, coast of gold and stuff like that. So let's see what it's about. Track 3, Sea of Madness. Whoa, the bass is chunky here. Or is that the synth? to the Eagles. That ancient mariner seat. No. That's interesting. Holy shit. The way they switched it to like a softer sound. Sad. They kind of did that Powerslave thing. My heart is heavy. I like how the guitar followed his cadence. Oh. Whoa. I don't know if that was the synth or the bass, but whatever the last instrument they had with Bruce, literally, like, gave me motion sickness or like a headache right now. Like that shit was like chunky. It was like doom. That shit. Oh, hold up. That shit low-key made me sick. Hold on. Holy shit. All right. this this song was cool. Like man, the instrumental break, the way where they like slowed it down and like the bridge. Oh, this one was good too. And then lyrically, we got a lot of the same imagery that I've said time and time again with their cohesiveness. Fires burn, and then somebody's crying out in the night. The fires burn. Maybe tonight somebody's crying. Reached the point of no return. So maybe someone's crying because they're getting sacrificed. And then obviously like the chorus. They're not correlating it to peace of mind, but again, more cohesive. Where it's like the eagle and the dove fly so high on the wings above. So we know a lot about eagles because of where eagles dare and the flight of Icarus. So again, they're just bridging all their albums again in a seamless fashion, like ways that probably most people don't even like care about. Like they just hear eagle, but I'm connecting it to like peace of mind. This song can have a double meaning. The first and most obvious meaning is that the song is about someone slowly slipping into madness. He metaphorically tries to sail on the sea of madness, but is not able to. The other interpretation is that someone tries to find some hope inside the sea of madness or humanity. They desperately try to reach out to humans and see the good in them, but in the end, all they could see is the destruction and misery we bring, even onto ourselves. Because of that, he cannot reach the sea of madness. He cannot be part of mankind, as he finds no reason to. I like this second interpretation is interesting, like wanting to be a part of humanity, but they're so like toxic, basically, right? Where did he get this from? That's a very interesting interpretation. I really like that, but I don't know how he got that. Out in the street, somebody's crying. Out in the night, fires burn. Maybe tonight, oh, my eyes, they see but can't believe. My heart is heavy. Oh, I get what he's saying. So he's witnessing a horror in verse 1, and then in the pre-chorus, he's saying, like, oh shit, like I'm seeing some crazy shit, and like even though it hurts him, it hurts him to see that, so he's like, you know what, fuck that, I'm not trying to be a part of that. So he turns around and he's like, fuck that. Like the eagle and dove fly so high, wings above, when all you could see only brings you sadness. Like a river we flow on, towards the sea we go, when all you could do brings you sadness, out in the sea of madness. Okay, so continuing on with that person's interpretation, that this maybe is about someone who doesn't really see the benefits of humanity. The chorus is like correlating in the fact that it's like, man, I'm high up above seeing, humanity, and it only brings me sadness because I'm seeing all the madness, and I don't want to be a part of that. Somewhere I hear a voice that's calling, out in the dark there burns, again more burning fire things. Out in the dark there burns a dream. You gotta hope when you are falling to find a world that you have seen. That's interesting. Let me click on that. He wants to believe that there's salvation for mankind, that not all of us are here born to hate and destroy. I was, and I was like, he could see a small ember in the dark, but that's nothing more than a dream. That his optimistic side desperately longs to see the dream, and he hopes it'll come true one day. He wants humans to unite and love. Yeah, I like that interpretation. I like this person. This is one of the first genius interpretations where it's like the whole thing. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this is probably correct. But at the same time, we could interpret like I know it could also be like a burning hope, right? That I hear a voice that's calling, out in the dark there burns a dream. But we could also take it as a very, very dark lyric and interpret it as somebody's crying, and in the night the fires burn, and they reach the point of no return. And continuing on, that somebody's crying, when it says a voice that's calling, out in the dark there burns a dream, that's not hope and optimism like a burning passion. No, that's quite literally someone yelling, getting their ass burned, getting sacrificed, and their dreams are burning because quite literally, like, they're burning away, they're dying, if that makes any sense. So you could interpret it as like really fucking dark, or as more like, a flicker in the darkness. Dang, so far this album, like, the more I read the lyrics, the more it's like getting, like, I'm liking the song more, even though I haven't heard the song. Like, I mean, I heard it just this initial time. The sun doesn't shine on the sea of madness, there's no wind to fill your sails. Yeah, right. Like, when you're in a, so I guess technically we could also see this narrator as a stranger in a strange land as well. Like, I haven't reached that song yet, but if you think about it, he's a stranger to the sea of madness, and he's not fucking with the strange things he's seeing. Like, he's like, you know what, I'm not fucking with none of this. That's interesting. You guys will let me know if that was a bass or a synth. That, like, deep stuff I had noted, the because that motherfucker was deep. And again, like I said, so from the 3 that I've heard so far, I'm really picking up that Bruce is doing a lot of more like operatic singing. That's the best word I could use. Like, he's going in, and he's not really using his extreme voices or like darker stuff. Only for little moments, like I don't know if it was here or a previous song where he kind of did the like Powerslave voice he does on that song, that like witch shit. So he's just doing like little moments of like changing it up to more like darker tones, but on the whole, he sounds like the outro for most of the album so far, like of madness. I really like the outro. The outro was really good. The outro And the instrumental break and the bridge were my favorite parts. They were so good. I like the lyrics as well, but I'm not a big fan of the cadence of the verses, like the way he's delivering them. This was cool. Another good track. Let's head into track 4. Alright, track wise, we're reaching the midpoint of the album with track 4, which is Heaven Can Wait. And I guess if we're continuing on with like the track names, right? Like they just went through the Sea of Madness and stuff. We just went through Sea of Madness, and so like maybe all that dark shit, like Heaven Can Wait, cause like we gotta focus on all this dark shit that we just witnessed in the Sea of Madness. If that makes any sense. Let's just head into it. Oh shit. That shit is deep. Whatever that is. That's the synth. I'm pretty sure that's the synth. And it just lingers. Out of body experience. It's gotta catch the way he says wait. Wait. Got smoke? This feels like a sequel to Purgatory. Like theme-wise, not narratively. Is this Adrian Smith or Dave Norman? Is this Satan tempting him? He sounds like a ghostly choir. What the fuck? Fuck is it? Holy shit! Oh my god! Holy shit! I'm getting goosebumps. No, I needed more of that. It has a very hopeful sound because like the notes keep getting higher. Another moment of strange. purgatory. Drifter, drifter. The ba- the bass in this album is thumping hard. It's just the basses are constantly giving me motion sickness. Holy shit! This is my favorite song so far from the four that I've heard. Heaven Can Wait. Oh man, this is such a good song. Oh my goodness, especially the bridge. Oh my goodness, that was so beautiful. Also, it is a chorus sung by several people. The singers were actually a bunch of guys that the band found in a place called Teehee's Bar and persuaded to lend their vocals. Why do they gotta persuade them? This Iron Maiden, bro. I'll do it quick. This is why the back of the album cover of Somewhere in Time has one building with the sign Teehee's Bar. For live performances, Bruce will lead a crown chat. Oh, I need to be alive for one of those chants before I die. Oh my god, that's beautiful. And then at first I didn't like the chorus, the heaven can wait, heaven can wait. But then I don't know, like I don't know if it's exposure effect, but then it just I had to sing along, heaven can wait. This is a very cheerful, optimistic song in terms of sonics, right? Let's read the about real quick. This song may be inspired by a 1943 film of the same name. In the movie, Don Amici plays a man who dies after a long, fulfilled life. He attempts to enter hell, but is denied entry by Satan. It has nothing to do with the 1978 film, which is a comedy about a Rams quarterback. Okay, so, man, this song was good. Lyrically, man, think about it. I'm telling y'all, this album is a narrative / thematic sequel to Killers, or at least we're very much so in that mind state, right? Because like Iron Maiden's self-titled, the debut album, it's more like a hodgepodge of just dark shit. Phantom of the Opera was like, take you back to my lair, and then like Iron Maiden, I want to show you all my wares. Iron Maiden. Well, anyway, like you have a lot of hodgepodge of dark shit. Prowler, where it's like I'm a flasher. Second album, you kind of have that narrative through line of death, purgatory, and split personalities, and a lot of depression and suicide. The third album, you have like a lot of themes of like the things that the beast could do. It's like Satan influence and these peace of mind. Well, this one feels very much so like the themes of Killers, where it's like we have a lot of depression with Sea of Madness. Don't waste your time, kind of like the message of Drifter. With that being said, we're entering Heaven Can Wait, which is very, very akin to that, to those type of stuff where we're talking about, has death come for me? Maybe this is a dream. I know, I don't know the exact lyric, but I know in Killers they talk about dream somewhere. And it's like, is this a dream or is this purgatory? And so this is why the lyrics say, oh, is this limbo or heaven or hell? This is purgatory. You know that song? This is purgatory. Maybe I'm going down there as well. And then look, I can't accept my soul will drift forever. Drifter. Where other songs have they said drift? Not many. Not that I could recall. And again, we're getting more of that same like ethereal message. Usually when they're on their like more harder to interpret songs and lyrics, they usually use the word strange. That's one thing I'm gonna pick up from the album so far, that like so far lyrically, this is we're heading we're going back to that more ethereal, harder to interpret lyricism that they do, right? Because um with Peace of Mind and Powerslave, there was a lot of explicit. This is what happens. This is the message. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is a straightforward story. Ace is high. Whereas this album is, we're going back to what I said in the first two albums, where it's a lot of mysticism, lyricism, where it's like there is no clear answer as to what the lyrics mean, but there's clear like connections with other things, and it has a very like deathly, ethereal, otherworldly sound, right? Like this has a very otherworldly sound, like I don't know, but in a different manner, because usually when they do that more ethereal shit, it almost feels like spacey, dark, like if you hear certain aspects of like Purgatory and Prodigal Son, like I don't know, they have like a little darkness, whereas this is very hopeful. This sounds like a sequel to Drifter. Like I don't know, it just makes me feel like Drifter, the song. I'm telling y'all, listen to Killers, then listen to this, and really read the lyrics. I feel like there's a very like obvious connection, and I'm not saying like it was intended or none of that bullshit. I'm just saying that's what I'm picking up, and I'm not saying this is gonna be the end all be all answer. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to like impose my thoughts onto y'all. And this is tight. Heavy way. I have a lust for the earth below. And then the crazy thing is we get this song after Sea of Madness, right? So it's like, if we're just continuing, let's just assume this is the same character from Sea of Madness. It's ironic that they want to return to the Sea of Madness, to Earth, to the people, when they were talking shit about the Sea of Madness, right? That like Earl, like, this place is fucked. But I guess the Sea of Madness is known, right? Because anytime they mention the more ethereal shit, they always say strange, or like, for me, like they use strange in an interesting way. They don't use strange as like, that's curious. They use more strange as like, this is new, unexplored. I'm uncomfortable. I feel like when they use strange, they almost use it as a synonym for uncomfortable, if that makes any sense. And then the bridge, like the take my hand, I'll lead you to a promised land. I'll give you immortality, eternal youth, the other side, to see the truth. We don't know who it is, right? The person telling them that can be the drifter, right? Trying to tell them like, yo, hey child, there's a better way, or whatever. Or it could be like the satanic influences, the devils that got a hold of him on Prodigal Son. The devils got a hold of me, in Prodigal Son, which it can line up with the title tracks Caught Somewhere in Time, where they mention devil and like someone's like pulling them in type stuff. Kind of same situation with Number of the Beast, where it's like oh, it's a dream, I know it's bad, but like I'm being compelled to go to there, So this could be like that type of situation where it's like they're trying to compel them to die, if that makes any sense. And maybe that voice could be the voice that says, I could take you to immortality. Maybe it could be the voice from Another Life, where it's like, like the one that's like telling me I've got to get away. Dun, 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 dun. Interesting. This is a very interesting album. I'm definitely gonna have to listen to it more. But I like Heaven Can Wait. That's my favorite one so far. That one was tight. Let's go. It kind of reminds me of To Tame a Land. drums are unique in this one. There's some like good workout music just because of the lyrics. Almost reminds me of to like Collapse by Eminem. That's so interesting. Is the long distance runner lonely because they're so far ahead of everyone else? This part reminds me of Lost for Words and Die With Your Boots On. The solos in those. That like Alright, that was track 6, The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. Let's read the about. The song is based on a short story written by Alan Stilto. A film by the same name released in 1962. Dang, they kind of half-assed it. They didn't even like give a little summary about the movie or the book. I feel like the long distance runner is lonely because he's so far ahead of everyone else. Let's see. In the novel, uses running as a means of isolation. It's a solitary action and therefore allows Smith to become aware of the class divisions. He is alone as a runner and alone in his life. He must count on himself alone. The lone long distance runner is an anti-hero. He isn't strong or brave. He has no idealism. He lacks the qualities of a classic hero. Smith's loneliness during the marathon becomes a metaphor for loneliness suffered by the poor. That's interesting. So this just basically describes the winning, the running, right? There's no like double meanings. Tough on the track with the wind and the rain's beating down on your back. Your heart's beating louder and go louder. The every ring in your head with every step you tread. Determination makes you run. Gotta win. Gotta run till you drop. As if you're in a dream, not getting anywhere, futile. Also, it means like if it feels never ending, just like a dream, right? Like it doesn't matter how much you run in a dream. It's like it's for naught, you know? Kind of like, okay, I get it. Run over stiles across fields, turn and look at your heels, way ahead of the field. The line is getting nearer, but do you want the glory that goes? After speeding ahead of the other runners, Smith deliberately stops, even though he's well ahead. So he just looks in amazement. He deliberately lets other runners pass him against the captors By losing the race, he demonstrates his free spirit and independence. Well, yeah, I mean, imagine being so good or so free, so independent that like you could just like allow other people to succeed. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. Okay, so I get it. Hmm. Okay, that was cool. That was cool. That was alright. That wasn't it. Lyrically, I guess even like rhythmically, like it had that like steady pace. This just is like cool to work out towards, like, cause it has, cause kind of like I said in the reaction, kind of reminds me of like "Till I Collapse" by Eminem, like like just till my bone collapse to just keep going, run on and on, quite literally, To all right, so this was cool. Let's go to the next track. All right, we're heading into the next track, "Stranger in a Strange Land," that I've been talking about for a minute. So let's see what it's all about. This is tight. This is my shit. This one's tired. Isn't that the name of one of their albums? The effects are crazy. This is tired. Awesome Captain America shit. The chorus is excited. It just sounds like a land of ice and snow. Well, he's going fast. His performance near the ending when they started like cutting it off was getting good. He was getting really passionate. He started using the back of his like throat and it's like strange in a strange land of ice. The outro section that was tight. This is my favorite song so far. Oh man, let's read the about. Uh, it's based this second single, same song with a book. Interesting. Brave New World is repeated several times in the song, and it's a famous dystopian work. The song was based on real life Arctic expedition, and guitarist Adrian Smith was inspired to write the song after talking to one of the survivors, who incidentally ended up becoming a fan of Iron Maiden. Oh, so the Stranger in a Strange Land is about someone's Arctic mission that they. Oh man, this was tight. Let me click the No Brave because that's the name of their album, no? These lines obviously come from the title of the famous novel Brave New World. The traveler has not discovered this beautiful new place he had expected to find. I mean, I never even heard of that shit. Well, I'm not educated in this type, in like this whole thing. Oh man, like oh that's tight. I know that it says it's about like the Arctic expedition, and obviously that's what it's about because Adrian Smith was inspired to write it. But like, this song applies so well to what I've been saying throughout this album. I mean, it being kind of like a spiritual sequel to Killers, because again, we talk about the same things in Loneliness. Pardon, in Heaven Can Wait, Sea of Madness, Wasted Years, and in Killers, how it's been how many years ago that I left home and came this way. I was a young man full of hopes and dreams, but now it seems to me that all is lost and nothing gained. Right, bro? He says it in, heaven can wait. Right, like, oh, I'm not there. Sea of Madness, he doesn't want to be there. Obviously, like I said in Killers, he's left. He's left on his voyage in that he talks about. The coast of gold or something like that. Scan the horizon, sea and sky. My spirit wanders endlessly. It's drifting. Just how we got in previous songs and in Killers, drifting. Until the day will dawn and friends from homes wide calling me. And then the stranger in a strange land, right? Like I've said, when they use strange, I typically like interpret it as like some ethereal, religious, mystical type shit. Cause like how many times when they use strange, like strange world, like that's a strange world. So to me, it's like maybe the stranger in a strange land, land of ice and snow. Cause he says it. I think it's stranger where it's like it's a cold place. I don't want to be here. Trapped in this prison, right? You don't want to be in a prison. Lost and far from home. So again, I'm really connecting it to the narrative that I'm talking about. 100 years have gone, and obviously this one is the most that's like the Arctic expedition because they find basically Captain America, frozen in time. You know, what became of the man that started? All are gone and their souls departed. Left me here in this place so all alone. The spirit of the dead explorer becomes the narrator once again. He's just been wandering the frozen, right? So that's cool. Like, obviously, I know it's about the Arctic people and like that's his soul. He was, right? He got left there and stuff like that. But I kind of like my interpretation too, where it's like a double meaning where you could apply it to the narrative I've been talking about, right? Or at least some aspects. I know verse 3 doesn't like really connect with what I've been talking about, unless the character from Killer somehow ended up in Frozen. But no, that's cool. This song was tight. This song just had like I don't know like a it. I don't know how to word it. This song was just like I don't know, like darker, more energetic. I don't know. Man, this song is tight. I'm gonna be listening to that one so much. I like that one. I like everything about it. I love the solo. I love the outro. I love the vocal performance. Oh man, the way Bruce was singing the chorus was just beautiful. And the verses were tight too. Like I was fucking with the cadence of the verses. Oh man, this song was good. It's definitely my favorite so far. Let's keep going. Just reacted to Stranger in a Strange Land, which didn't disappoint. I think this is the first time, or at least one of the first times, where I said that, oh, I'm excited for that one. I think it's the first time where the one I've been excited for was like justified. Because every time I end up saying I'm excited for it, I end up thinking it's one of the like my least favorites. At least in Powerslave, I did. In Powerslave, I mentioned the two sword songs or whatever, fencing songs, and those are my least favorites. But nah, Stranger in a Strange Land didn't disappoint. With that being said, let's just react to Deja-Vu track 7. So we're already there at the final stretch. Yeah, penultimate track, Deja-Vu. I like the little subdued solo. That was tight. The lyrics are sparse in this one, huh? Oh.
When you see familiar faces, but you don't remember where they're from. Could you be wrong? When you've been particular places that you know you've
The
never
vocals
been
they
before.
sound almost demonic.
Don't even show you how to know when you feel deja-vu. Like I've been here before, feel like I've been here before.
The drums are putting in overtime on this song. Ah, the bass. Strange.
Have you ever talked to someone and you feel more than you
Deja-Vu. It's another banger. Feels like I've been here before. Feels like I've been here before. Ah man, that was Deja-Vu. Oh shit, another banger. Oh man, they just had that energy. That I wonder what they were doing. If anyone if you guys know, please tell me what if it was Bruce or extra vocals or what were they doing for the verses? Cause his voice was crazy. It sounded like demonic, like crazy. I know he at least had to double vocal at minimum, like add double vocals, cause that shit sounded crazy. He had almost like a demonic tone. It's crazy how they can make a whole ass song about fucking Deja-Vu. Like, they basically just fucking dictionary this song. Almost kind of reminded me of Tribe Called Quest when they die, like, they like define songs. Specifically, I'm thinking of the song Ego after last album. The ego, sipping, tripping in my mind. You got one. All right, well, whatever. Because I'm liable to sing the whole song. I love that song. This reminded me of Ego, kind of just defining a word, just making a song out of a word, and it's just tied the way. Feels like I've been here before. The way they say deja vu. Oh my goodness. Oh man, this I don't know, this and Stranger in a Strange Land are my two favorites right now. It's so, I don't know what I like more though. Deja Vu is the only song on the album penned by guitarist Dave Murray, and on the first of the record not to be recorded by Steve Harris or Adrian Smith. Main composers of the whole Somewhere in Time album. Deja Vu is a French term I already seen. I feel like this one is really, really, really good in terms of Caught Somewhere in Time, the title Somewhere in Time, and the art. Because this feels like I'm caught somewhere in time, like, well, they even mention it, right? Because this happened before, and that this moment in time is for real. That's a key word, moment in time, right? Like, moment in time sounds like caught somewhere in time. Like, hey, there's just a snapshot, you're somewhere in time because it's already happened before. You might not know how it happened. Maybe you were in a strange world. Maybe you were, dreaming when you were dreaming and heaven can wait. Or maybe, your spirit was just, or someone's spirit guided you to have been in this situation before. When you see familiar faces, but you don't quite know where they're from, Oh, this song's especially good in the context of the album. This song's just fucking fantastic. But in the context of the album, this is like so good. It goes really good with the theme of the album. This is one of the best songs they've made that like connects with the album. Really the only second to Powerslave, because Powerslave's like the title track and it's like it tells you about that album. But this one is like, I wouldn't be mad if this would have been the title track. It has nothing to do with the actual like somewhere in time, but technically Deja Vu is you are somewhere in time. How did you know about, like, how did you feel that you've been there before, How do you know the face? Because you've been somewhere in time, whether that be your spirit, whether that be the Sea of Madness, who, you've been there before. Feel like I've been here before. Oh, this was tight. Oh, man. Yeah. Let's head into the last track, man. So far, I feel like the second half of the album has just been amazing. Well, I can't say that because I've only listened to 3 out of the 4 of the second half, and Loneliness was okay. It wasn't as good as Heaven Could Wait. I don't know. This album's fire. Alright, we're headed to the final track, track 8 on Alexander the Great, 356 to 323 BC. I know I could say 323, but I don't feel like it. Last track. Let's just finish this off. Let's see if we can end strongly. We got an 8-minute banger as the last track. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner was a long last track. Let's see. That's a tight quote. That's tight. I like the ethereal feeling. It has that whole mystical. This reminds me of Powerslave, and you know what I mean. Like they got that historical ethereal sound. A lot of reverb, echo. Kind of sound like maybe we're marching. A little bit of To Tame a Land. Almost reminds me of the Ides of March. Though the Ides of March is obviously like a lot harsher. I love the slow build up. Oh, this feels like a final track. This is beautiful already. Oh, this is gorgeous. It almost reminds me of Hallowed Be Thy Name. That's tight at the age of 19. Bro, this sounds like Hallowed Be Thy Name. This thing is a G. Are we reaching a tumultuous point in his life? Oh, oh. I feel like we're going through his trials and tribulations throughout his life, and the parts they kind of skip. My cheeks are from smiling, but I can't stop. He's making that guitar sing. I didn't know that. The Ides of March. Oh wow. He was fucking niggas up so much that they got tired of winning. I got goosebumps. Oh my god. Look. I got chills everywhere. That was tight. Holy shit. Man, it's tight how they fittingly end somewhere in time with a point somewhere in time and a specific point in time, you know? Oh, man, I'm telling you, this feels like very Hallowed be thy namey, if that makes any sense. I like this quote. My son, ask thyself for another kingdom. Damn, Philip, that's a sick ass fucking quote. Who's the guy that said this? This isn't a sample. Did they get someone just to say this line? Yeah, Philip put in work. He really gave him the mindset that you will be the great. You know, it's almost like a J. Cole situation where it's like, if you don't if you don't aim too far, then you aim too low. Like, that's fucking tight. You know, like, it's true. Like, whatever you think you could achieve, shoot farther for that, and shoot farther than that, and aim farther than that, and so on and so forth, because there's always new pinnacles to break, new echelons to reach. You understand what I'm saying? Man, there's not much to say to the lyrics beyond that, because it's basically like, you know, the tale of Alexander the Great. This another one of their historical epics that just, wow, man, this is so good. Let's read the about. As the title states, this song is by Alexander the Great, who became the king of ancient Macedon at only 19 years old following the assassination of his father. Alexander would go on to conquer most of the known world. Fuck. So, the way his story ended, because I don't know about Alexander the Great, I just know of him, if that makes sense. The way his story ends is kind of like fucked up. How it's like the battle-weary march side by side, line by line. They wouldn't follow him to India, tired of combat, pain, and glory. Like, this guy was fucking people up so much that he didn't lose particularly like a battle. He lost because he won so much, if that makes any sense. Let's click it. Let's see what this talks about. Alexander's army faced their hardest battle at the Battle of the something river, modern day something river. I don't want to mispronounce it. In India, where King Porus, the ruler of a tiny kingdom, gave their toughest. That's kind of tight how like a tiny kingdom gave them their toughest battle. Alexander was impressed by his bravery and resistance and allowed him to retain his kingdom. After the battle, Alexander could not persuade his troops to go further into India, as they were up against a much larger Nanda Empire, which had a much larger army and more resources than Porus's tiny kingdom. His troops mutinied at the borders of the Hyphus River, aka the Bayas River, and refused to go any further. Damn. So if the tiny kingdom quote was able to do that, imagine the big kingdom. No wonder they were shook. And then, you know, they had been fighting for a long time already. Do you guys let me know? I know you couldn't really know because you weren't there, you weren't fucking one of them, but do you guys believe that if his army was well rested? Cool, I don't know how long they have been fighting, but it says they were battle weary. But do you think if they were well rested and Alexander had given a moment of reprieve for his like soldiers and like make sure they were well fed for a quick little for their next conquest tour, do you think they would have fared better against King Porus? Do you guys think that? I feel like from what the story says, again, like I'm just going by from the song, it sounds like he really needed to like give his troops a rest, because he probably would have smashed King Porus if they weren't so tired. But I wouldn't know because I don't know the historical context. What is the Gordian knot? Appear to be too tangled to untangle, An oracle foretold that whoever untied the knot will rule all of Asia. Fucking Alexander, that's kind of is smart. Instead of trying to untie the knot, just fucking cut that shit. Fuck it. Stupid. That's clever. He's fucking clever. I don't even know what Hellenism is. Um, Hellenistic. Hellenistic means speak Greek or identify with the Greeks. Oh, so just a Greek way of life. Oh man, I didn't know he paved the way for Christianity. Oh, Hellenism is regarded as the era of Greek history which succeeded classical age. Sporting a halo around his head well before Jesus. Oh wow, I didn't know none of this. Man, this is what I like about Iron Maiden. They put me on to so much historical context and like movies and films and literature. Like, I probably seem fucking retarded to y'all. Like, bro, how does this guy not know any of this? But like, I'm speaking about myself. Like, you guys probably say that about me. But I don't know. I mean, I would like to think I'm fairly knowledgeable in certain, you know, aspects of life and stuff. But like when it comes to this type of stuff, I draw a blank. And they've been doing good to like teach me about different stuff. Like, I learned all sorts of stuff through them, like about Alexander the Great, Lamia. I didn't even know what Lamia was, and like that, like the demon thingy. And I learned a lot about movies and stuff. And I'm wow. This song was fucking amazing though. Like, another one where I really like the lyrics. Like, I just like hearing the story. It's just entertaining. I don't know, like just hearing. And then the chorus is fucking tight. Like, it just sounds grandiose and epic. Like, his name shook fear into the hearts of men, a legend amongst mortal men. Like, I like how they say mortal man, and they don't call him a god or nothing, because it seems like Alexander the Great wasn't really like the pharaoh that we hear about in Powerslave, where he's like, why must I be a power slave? Why? No. Alex, from this story, he's like the complete opposite of the power slave, as the pharaoh. He's, you know, he takes the mantle. He's not gonna question why he's a power slave, a slave to the power. He's like, fuck it, I am a slave to the power. I'm gonna go do everything I'm gonna do. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna conquer everyone. I don't give a fuck who it is. This was a gangster ass one. He was only 19 when he was riding on niggas. It's crazy. He was a little G. When did he died at 32? Probably died of a typhoid fever, which along with malaria was common. They mentioned chills, sweats, exhaustion, high fever, typical of a typhoid fever the week before his death. That's fucked up, huh? We came a long way. Like, bro, imagine you catch the fever, fucking cold, and boom, that's it, your life ends. That's like real fucked up shit. Like, I'm happy I live in this, at this point in somewhere in time, if that makes any sense. I'm glad I'm here in time. Like, this is the time I'm at, if that makes any sense. I try to connect. I try to be cool. I ended up sounding stupid. But yeah, man, great closer. I feel like in terms of somewhere in time, like just those words, it's a good closer, right? Like, and especially considering the intro and the way the song ends, like the slow build up and then the nice ending and like his death and everything. In terms of that, it's a good, great outro. But I feel like Deja-Vu thematically was like the end of the album to me. Like, that's how it felt. It felt like Deja-Vu kind of closed up the stories and the narrative things and the themes of the album, and then Alexander was more like a quote-unquote bonus track, if that makes any sense. I'm not saying it's a bad song at all by any stretch of the mean. I just feel like Deja-Vu kind of closed the narrative, not narrative, but like the themes and all that, right? Because Alexander the Great, we don't really get themes of somewhere in time and all that. We're just, the only closest thing to time is that we're giving this, you know, his time on earth and what he did with his time. Alexander the Great definitely took the advice of wasted years. And nigga spent no time wasting his time. He was just like, yo, I'm only here, I'm gonna die of a fever, I'm gonna be thugging this whole time. Man, this song was great. Again, come on, y'all. I know y'all hear the Hollow Be Thy Name similarities. I know y'all do. But yeah, an, another great album with another great outro. This was just good. Let's get into the outro. All right, yeah. We just finished listening to Somewhere in Time. It was a great album. Not to disrespect what people were saying or anything of that. Personally, I don't feel on first listen. And again, this is all an initial reaction. Everything I'm saying is what I'm feeling in the moment. It's, my thoughts and feelings are subject to change. But as of right now, I don't really agree with the people saying this is the best one, or I could see if it's your favorite, which I'm gonna get into, but for me personally, I still think Powerslave is the best album. But man, this album was just fucking great. I felt like it started off a little like just okay with the first half of the album, but it really picks up starting with Heaven. So I would say that the first three tracks, personally, they're just okay. Caught Somewhere in Time, they're not bad, and they all have great moments. Especially like, I love the chorus in Wasted Years. I love all the solos. The synths were like cracking. Or I don't know what it was. Like I said, that shit was so shiny, it gave me a headache. But I'm gonna say my least favorite song. I will say my least favorite song is probably "The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner." I I feel like that's my least favorite slash most forgettable. But let me just say my three favorite tracks. My favorite track is Deja-Vu. My second favorite is Stranger in a Strange Land, and my third favorite would be Alexander the Great. The reason I'm choosing Alexander the Great over Heaven Can Wait is because I feel like Heaven Can Wait, I really, really, really liked the like oh part, but everything else was just not as good as that part. For me, it wasn't hitting the same, if that makes any sense. So that's why I'm gonna have to choose Alexander the Great, because Alexander the Great I enjoyed. I didn't get the same highlight as the like bridge part from Heaven Can Wait, but on the whole I enjoyed the entire song more, if that makes any sense. And I like this album as a follow-up to Powerslave as well, because Powerslave was very, very, very aggressive, right? Like, the whole album is very fast paced. Even the slower songs like Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner was a very fast paced song. Like, it has a very fast tempo. Whereas this album, we kind of get taken on a little breather, right? Alexander the Great has that like long little intro. Deja-Vu has a little quiet moment. Stranger in a Strange Land, Loneliness, Heaven Can Wait. A lot of these tracks bring back that more like peace of mind feeling, which I will say this feels more like peace of mind sonically, but lyrically and thematically, as I've said multiple times, I feel like this feels like Killers, if that makes any sense. So yeah, so sonically this feels like an evolution of Peace of Mind, but lyrically and thematically this feels like almost a continuation of a little bit of Powerslave, a little bit of Killers, a little bit of the self-title. Because again, like I said, this is like a return to the self-titled in terms of like lyricism, where it's like Wasted Years, Sea of Madness, Stranger in a Strange Land. Like, those are very like more abstract concepts and songs compared to like the more forward meanings of like fucking Number of the Beast and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, with that being said, another Maiden banger, like just absolute bonkers the run they're going on, bro. Like, these guys are 6 for 6, and for the most part, I think they're back to back to back, like no pauses in between. And I feel like also how I'm going back to my point of that this feels like intentionally a little more like calmer compared to Powerslave, is that I was told that they had a very long and grueling tour for Powerslave. So it makes sense that you kind of want to make songs that are more like quote unquote breathable, you know, especially like stuff like Heaven Can Wait, like the oh, like the crowd chant. I could see Bruce, you know, getting a little moment of reprieve when he's doing that song live and stuff. I would assume. I haven't seen it live, but yeah, and stuff like that. So I feel like a lot of these moments lead to like more softer, quieter moments that let the guitarist and the everybody in the band just breathe a little bit more, as opposed to like just like the fast fucking pace of Aces High followed by 2 minutes followed by fucking, you know, a loss for words and stuff. Like that's a very very high tempo to keep. That's a very fast pace. So I like how this was slower, but it wasn't like dragging on, you know. But yeah, again, like I said, I couldn't really tell what are the synths. I tried to find them. I don't know what a synth is. Is a synth a bass? I don't even know. You guys, I probably sound dumb as hell, but you guys will correct me. You guys always come through for me. You guys are the best. With that being said, y'all already know I usually get into the 4 C's. Let's get into the 4 C's. Consistent. Was this consistent? And again, I feel like a lot of people confuse consistency with cohesiveness. When I'm talking about consistency, I'm specifically talking about, you know, is there high highs combined with low lows, or is everything at a steady quality? I much prefer an album that is a steady 8 rather than an album that has a 10 moment and then a 1 moment. I'm not saying that they've ever had a 1 moment, but you know, I prefer more consistency. I think if you can consistently be good, that's better than occasionally being great and most of the time being ass. But I'm not saying that they're ass. Obviously not. I enjoy them quite a bit. So in terms of consistency, let's see. I feel like the only low moment, and it's not even a low moment, was the loneliness of the long distance runner. Maybe Caught Somewhere in Time was a little, I didn't feel it as much as the other tracks. So for consistency, because we did pick up in this, I feel like the second half is really the last 3 songs. Holy shit, the last 3 songs is such a great sequence of songs. Like, wow, back to back. I'm going to have to say consistency, this is a 8 or a 9. Definitely not a 10. The only going just real quick, like reflecting back on their previous works, I would say the only consistent album I would give a 10 from their 6 albums that I've listened to is Powerslave. Maybe Powerslave is like the only 10 in terms of consistency. The other ones, including this one, they either 9 or 8 in terms of consistency. I hope that made sense. Cohesiveness. Was this album cohesive? Meaning, were the themes, the things they talked about, the lyricism, did everything just gel together? Did it just feel like it was supposed to be on this album? I hate albums that they just sound like 20 song mixtapes. Like, hey, let's just grab different songs and make a collection of songs. If you're gonna do that, then call it a greatest hits. You know what I mean? Or make that the point. If it's supposed to be disjointed, let us know. Whereas this, there was a through theme, a theme of time, somewhere in time. Don't waste your time and wasted years. Caught Somewhere in Time with the first song. Sea of Madness. Heaven Can Wait. They had a lot of Stranger in a Strange Land. It was very cohesive. Even the songs that weren't talking about time, they were time pieces. They were historical moments, like Alexander the Great, you know? So in terms of cohesiveness, as I've said before, I can't really ever see them dropping below 10. So 10 out of 10 for cohesiveness. Creativity. Was this album creative? Yes, I feel like it was definitely creative. It's another 10 out of 10. Specifically, Sea of Madness and Deja-Vu, to me, are very creative songs. Because, like, bro, it's kind of hard to make, like, basically what I call a definition song, which is Deja-Vu. Like, yeah, there's nothing creative about explaining a word, but it's very creative to make a whole song about it. Like, that's very difficult. Trust me. Try to do it. It's not that easy. I think Sea of Madness is very creative. Like, lyrically, that's the most interesting song of all of them so far, like, on this album, because I really like that person's breakdown, the person who annotated it on Genius, like how it's like, maybe you don't want to be a part of the Sea of Madness. Like, you want to be a part of humanity, but you don't want to take part in their bullshit. So, off that alone, another 10 out of 10 for creativity. Maybe 9 out of 10 if you want to be pedantic, like I always say, and be like, well, they talk about stuff that's in history books and stuff, and they're covering movies and books. So if you want to be pedantic, I'll give you a 9. But if you don't really mind that, then it's a 10 out of 10 for creativity. Concise. Was this album concise? This is where we start getting into a little bit of an issue with that I'm noticing. As the albums go on, they're getting much longer with the same amount of tracks, or sometimes even less, right? This, similar to Powerslave, I believe, were both 8 tracks, yet they're in the 50-minute mark compared to like the self-titled, which is like 38 minutes and it's like 9 tracks, right? Or 8, something like that. So in terms of conciseness, I still don't feel like any of the songs dragged on. This is where, like, normally, like I've always said, normally I'll go by the track, the track listing. 8 songs, it's pretty fucking concise. But now when we start reaching into the hour mark territory, we got to start asking, okay, do the songs drag on? And to answer that, you also have to ask yourself, did it feel at any point I wanted to skip the song, or that this was unnecessary? No. Meaning, I don't think any of the songs dragged on. Was it necessary for the song to be recorded in that length? Yes. All this to say, I'ma still give this album a 10 out of 10 for conciseness, because 50 minutes and 8 tracks, and a lot of the majority of those 50 minutes, a whole chunk is for Alexander the Great, which is damn near a 9-minute song, and Caught Somewhere in Time is like 7 minutes. So it was still a very concise album. Like, I didn't feel like any of the ideas dragged on. I didn't feel like the solos were trash. So I feel like this was a very concise album still. So with that being said, we have ourselves another like A minus album. Well, technically, I gave it like 38 out of 40. Technically, it's an A. I think I still think that's an A, but I just feel like it was a notch below Powerslave, above Peace of Mind, but still I'm gonna have to go, like, on the end of the journey. I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to all the albums and like really listen to them. But I still feel like they could reach a new high, if that makes sense. I'm not looking for that, but I feel like they still have more in them, because I'm more like harping on Loneliest Runner. I'm not saying that is the Lonely song is bad. It's just I feel like they could have done better. Like, I feel like they could have put a different track there. Kind of how I felt how they feel with Number the Beast, where they felt that Gangland should have been replaced by Twilight Zone. I feel like just something could have elevated this to make it just that Powerslave level, because we have standout tracks and standout moments, like, but I just feel like Caught Somewhere in Time and Lonely, I just feel like they knocked it down a peg. And not knocked it down by like being bad, it's just they were carried by the other tracks. Overall though, as I said, this album's fucking great. When the real question is, I shouldn't even be asking if this album is gonna be good. The real question should be, when are they gonna make a bullshit album? That's what I want to know. Forget when is this album good or bad? No. I want to know when they make a bad album, cause bro, you're 6 for 6, bro. Like, this is crazy. They're going on a crazy ass run. But with that being said, I want to say another thank you to y'all. We're at like 59 subscribers as of the making of this video. Yo, that 100 sub special is gonna come sooner rather than later, if the momentum continues. You know what I'm saying? This shit, cause I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all show endless love. Y'all be supporting. Even I love each and every one of y'all. Y'all continue to motivate me, as I say every video. Like, every time I open my comments and there's more positivity, more likes. Like, you guys are just the best. And again, I apologize if maybe I was talking down on your favorite songs or your favorite album. These are just my thoughts and my opinions. And as I said many times, this is just an initial reaction. Later on down the line, probably like when I finish the whole 17, 16 album journey, I'm probably gonna do a ranking video ranking all the albums, and then more I'll get more into my final thoughts then, cuz like as I said, right now learning this type of music genre, this heavy metal thing, learning the member names, learning what is a solo versus a break and all this type of stuff. I'm still learning. I'm still finding what I like, what I dislike, you know. But with that being said, again, thank y'all. Genuinely, thank you guys for tuning in. You don't have to. You could get your entertainment anywhere else, and I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And next week will be an album that I'm actually very hyped for now, because a lot of people have been mentioning it, and specifically they think I'm gonna like it because y'all know I be going deep into the lyrics and all that. And supposedly, next week's album, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son or something like that. I don't even know what it's called, but whatever. The seventh album supposedly is like a loose concept album or something like that. That there's a story and that I'm gonna have a lot to pick apart of it. That's what you guys told me, that I'm gonna really enjoy it. So I'm really looking forward to that. This album, there wasn't much to look forward to beyond you guys saying you guys like it. But in terms of like, nobody told me, oh, you're gonna like this song, you're gonna like, you know. But for Seventh Son, you guys are telling me like, yo, you like stories, you gonna like that one. But it's not even that I like stories. It's just things that I find, you know. As I said multiple times, like, I'm not saying that this album, Somewhere in Time, is a sequel to Killers. I'm just saying it feels like a sequel. That's just what I'm thinking. I don't know what to tell you guys. But again, because it doesn't hurt to say it, thank you guys and have a nice day.